reveal the keys I press first. This one, and let's just delete. And we just get a mesh, a plane. Let's scale this 10 times. So just S10 and enter. And what we need to do is just subdivide, 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 subdivide. Until you have something like this. So how many faces do I have? Let me see. So I have now 16,000. Okay. Then you get a subdivision surface. This one. And let's do 2 for now. Also the render should stay at 2. This is perfectly fine. And then we can get the deform displace. This one. And we want to click on new. Click on this texture down here, and then you get the new one. Just click on this. Sorry, not new, open. Makes sense, open. I have this already in my resources folder, which I also upload for you. So you have everything you need. So mountain, and we get the displacement. Boom. So now we already have a good starting point, but we need to put in, for Gaia maps, we need to put the mid-level to 0. Okay, so let's smooth this one out as well, and let's get another level. And now you can see we have more definition. And this is like 1 million faces now, which is pretty fine. So, but we want to increase this a little more. So let me maybe try 2 or maybe 3. I mean, this is maybe too sharp, so let's do let's do 2000. Okay, let me just scale it back. So we have this scale of, let's see, when you press 7, measure in object mode, I think it's like 100 meters, 20 meters. Okay, so we scaled it up 10 times. So instead of 2 by 2, it's now 20 by 20. And we want to have that S10 scale this one up another time. So we have 200 by 200, which is okay. You can also get rid of this clipping issue here. So sometimes you have this problem, you're not seeing anything. You can press N, go to camera, go to view, and you get these clip start and end. So let me put this N to 100,000, and then you're good to go. All right, let me see if we get another. So we even get more detail if we want to. Let me see how this is going to look from this perspective. Let me go into the cycles GPU. And then let's get a light, just a quick light. So we can click on this world button here. And then let's just get and then you can just get a sky texture. This is what I was trying to look for. And Nishida usually works best. And then you can also just rotate this. So for example, something like that. And you can just increase the density. So air density, basically, let's go for something like this. Maybe some dust if you want, and ozone. But make sure too much ozone is just giving you harsh shadows, right? Stronger shadows. So we should have this just a tiny bit. And also dust is giving you more of a darker, not really a darker shadow, but if you increase it, you get like softer. Not softer, but lighter shadows. So you want to have something like that. And you can also increase the strength to something like, I don't know, 0.5. And then maybe you get, you want to have a sun size of something. If you increase the sun size, of course you're going to have softer shadows, which is what we're looking for. All right, we want to have something like that, maybe even more. Let's do 50 degrees or even 60 to really have it soft. And let's increase the strength to 1 again, and then we get the sun intensity to 0.5. Then maybe we can adjust this one again to something like 0.6. So just a quick lighting tutorial if you want to have something really nice, pretty fast. So don't mind the sun now, it's pretty big, but you can also disable the sun disk. And then you're not going to see that. Now you have that. Okay. But let me adjust the displacement. You can also go for, instead of local, you can go for UV. This is not changing much because it's just one plane. So let me apply the scale. So Control A in all transforms. And this mesh has now, oh, sorry for that. Let me just undo that. We need to apply the displacement first and then the subdivision. But I believe this is perfectly fine. We can also maybe just scale this like so. But the problem is, if you scale this on one axis, you stretch the textures. So you need to be really careful for that. So let's just keep it like it is. So 2 by 2 basically, which is not now 200 meters by 200 meters, which is fine. We can scale it up in Unreal Engine as well. But let's just apply the displacement first, and then let's, oh, sorry for that. Let's undo this. It's the other way around, sorry. So maybe, why don't we just go for 3? Let's see the difference. Let's shade smooth. So it's still low res, but we need to work on this. We can get more definition. You can see here. We can increase the definition by a lot, and now you can see like how detailed this is. But let's just work on this with like one level of subdivision. And what we need to do now, let's just cut this one out. So we can go to edit mode and we can just cut out. There's also this select circle, right? Let's increase the radius. And why don't we just get a little more? Why don't we just get this one here? Boom. And then you can Control I and delete all this stuff around. And then let's go back to object mode. So this is something you can do. And we can also go maybe 200. And you need to see, like we want to see a lot, right? So let's maybe go even further, like 240. So maybe something like that. So I think this is a nice position here. But if I see this, we need to make this a little more flat maybe. Or not really flat, we need to be careful here. Otherwise, this is going to screw up our textures. Because you can see we have our perfect texture here. So why don't we just apply the... No, I think there's a much better approach. We can get the select circle again. Let's make this like so. Let's only select this, then Control I. Let's go back to the select box, and then we can get the proportion editing. And what we can do is we can move this down, but increase this stuff by a lot. So, and then we can do something like this. But I want to Control minus this stuff, Control minus until we only have. Sorry, this is not good. Until we only have this small stuff around. A GZ and just drag it down. And we do something like that. We just want to get like a nice shape, like something like this. And when we go back, now you have something like that. Which is much more bulky and yeah, basically a little better. So we can do this, but to be honest, this is a little too much for me. So let's do just a tiny bit. Maybe like so. Yeah. Just a tiny bit. So this mountain is more impressive. And then let's just apply the I'm not sure, because I want to tweak some things. Let's tweak it before we apply. So you can see here, this face. Let's try to get this and move this down a little bit. So maybe like this. Just to move it down. This is already too much. Just a tiny bit. Something like this. And make this bigger, like so. Otherwise, the stretching, the UV stretching will be, you can see that, and this is not good. Okay, and maybe here as well. So we click on this, and we just drag this one down. And this one is pretty obvious, so we should get this again. And make this. All right, cool. And also this one here, a little more. This is just my way, like, I never really did that before, but this is just my way of get the most out of it. Because you want to see, let's say, everything from here now we can see. And this is pretty awesome, I think. Okay, so now we can increase the resolution. Let's do, now we have 700,000, so let's go for 2.6 million and apply that. And then apply the displacement. Now you have a really awesome mountain mesh. Pretty awesome. So let's just get this one, click on this, and then we export this thing into our resources folder, mountain, and we call this one mountain mesh. Selected objects, only the mesh, no animation, and export. All right, one thing I wanted to show you as well, when we select everything in edit mode, we can also get a new texture. Let's call this just UV grid. And we select from blank to UV grid and we create a new image. And when we go back to object mode, we can get this material and change the base color to something like an image texture, and we click this UV grid. And then you go here to material preview. And this is how we can see those textures, if they have any stretching or not. Stretching, you can see, is not really affected. There's a technique called triplanar projection, but you can see here, this stuff and this and this and this. This is why we need triplanar projection, basically, because the UV is like stretched vertically. This is where we need triplanar projection, but I will just show you how we can do this. All right, so let me go out. I don't need to save because I have already the mesh. And we want to go for something like this. Maybe we can also, this is just optional. I really don't like that because we also have snow here, which doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but it's AI. So let's go to Substance Painter. Let's get textures for that. Now let's close this. Let's go File, New. We want to have 4K preview, and we want to get our mountain mesh open. DirectX is fine, and we press OK. Of course, it's going to take a while because it's a big mesh. So now we have that. Let's find our sweet spot, which is here. Right, so always so we can see the snow here, and then we can, yeah, this is pretty awesome. So we go for something like this. And we will never see the mountain from this, but we will see the mountain more from something like that. So we will just put it like so. I don't want to see the bottom, so I will put it here. This is where we need to focus. So before we start, actually, we go from Panorama to Atelier, and then Shift right click, and we get good lighting. So this is sweet lighting. And we can also just do something like that. But you have to remind yourself, this Atelier, it has like a slight bluish tint, you can see, right? It has a slight bluish tint, so you need to consider that you're not really go too cold for your textures. So you can always go, the thing is, like, if you have like a slight bluish tint, you might tend to give it a little color like something more like orange-red. So try to avoid that. It's normal that it's going to look, everything looks a little bit cooler here. So don't go like, I need more reds, I need more yellows or stuff. Just remind yourself that it has a bluish tint, and it's perfectly fine to keep this. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Let me get this again, sorry. Shadows. Why is this so weird? Okay. Okay, this is pretty weird. But now, okay, it's fine. Looks pretty nice already, right? So it's because of the shadows. This is why, and we have relatively soft lighting. This is the reason. So, but we actually want to start texturing things. So before we do this, we bake. Always bake. It gives us more freedom, ambient occlusion, and all that nice things. So we just want to bake ambient occlusion, curvature, position. We don't need thickness. We don't need world space normal, and we don't need normal. Just ambient occlusion, curvature, position. We bake 4K. We want to apply diffusion, and we use low poly as high poly, and we do 16 times anti-aliasing, and we bake. And just be careful here. You can see there we have stretching here on this top cone. We have stretching. This means we need to apply triplanar projection for everything which has detail. So let's go back to the paint mode. And now this is what I meant. This is pretty weird, the shadows here. So let's get a new layer. Now we can start. And we call this one base. So let's say maybe this is the base rock. Before we do this, we get a black mask. And we want to import resources. And we want to import the rocks. Open this, and we define this as alpha to our session, to the current session import. Now we have that, and we put this inside. So this is our mask. And now, for example, when we change the color here to something like red, you can actually see that only the rocks are affected. And this is what you want. So why don't we just get a darker color, more rich, maybe something like this, and we get a color something like that. So we can go for something bright, or we can go for something dark. Let's do more reddish, less saturated maybe. I think this is fine. And then you can see, yeah, but yeah, it's okay, but it's not really that strong. So let's do something like that. So what we can do, let me fix the light. So now this is really flat. So let's do something like that. Yeah, whatever. Let's do something. I don't want to waste too much time here. So we can click on the rocks and we get a levels, right click and levels. And then you can actually make this pop out more. And here as well. Just make it pop out more. Just a tiny bit. But be careful, because if you do something like that, it's too much contrast. It's just too harsh. It's just too strong, too sharp, right? So you want to make sure that you go for something like this. Okay, so this is without, and this is with the levels. And then you can even go a little more crazy and get a filter, a blur. So this is really strong. So let's set this to 0.05. And this is without. let's do 0.1. So this is with the blur, and this is without. And you cannot see the difference. But actually you can. So if you like that, you can do this, because I always try to go for a softer look. I think like people who start in CG, they try to get everything sharp, everything like contrasty, and like compensate stuff they don't know yet. But when you do CG for a couple of years, you start to notice that you're going to start out blurring out a lot more. You get brighter colors, you get less saturated colors, and everything is going to look much more balanced and softer when you do more CG. So yeah, so this is just what I experience, because I also was someone who always tried to go for a lot of sharpness and contrast. So, but you can see we should have a slight blur just to get this soft look. And then we can maybe enhance the levels to something like that. And make this just something like this. And then we can change the color to something less saturated. And maybe a little brighter. So when you see Midjourney, it's pretty dark. It's almost black. And it's pretty cool. So this is not something I wanna have. But maybe something like this. So this is our base rock material. What we can do also is we get, instead of this, you can also just get, let me import something I provide for you as well. Legacy, and we have textures. So I got a rock face diffuse, rock face normal, and roughness. This is from Polyhaven, so this is free to use. And we can just change this all to texture. Let's import this to the current session. And you can also go for this diffuse. Then you have a little more variation. So it looks not really stylized. And we can also go for the normal at the same time. Just drag this into the normal. And we can get the roughness. And we put this into roughness. But of course we have to repeat this stuff. Let's do 12. Let's do maybe 20. Let's do 15. Yeah, let's do 15, for example. You can see with normal, with normal, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. I don't want normals. I think this is perfectly fine. And when you see the roughness, you have some roughness variation. I guess you have, yeah. All right. Now, we need to, like from UV, you can try triplanar projection. This is what you need in order to avoid to avoid this stretching, because this is like vertical. So it's just a flat plane. So this mountain as a UV is just a flat plane. And he's reading the UVs from top to bottom, which here in this case is perfect. It's fine. But here it's completely stretched because he's reading this value until here. And this is getting a lot of stretching. So if we just change this back to UV, let me see. This, for example, you can see UV stretching here. But if we change this to triplanar, there's no stretching anymore. Okay, let me try 20. Let me try 60, 120. I'm just playing around. Okay, so we need 40. Let's do 30. This is perfect, I believe. Yeah. Now we can see we got rid of this distortion. I mean, we're not really gonna see that anyway, so, but. All right, let's get this like so. Okay, so make sure you have that, triplanar. Then this is our base rock material. Let's get another material. And this is the snow. And we get a black mask. And we want to import another resource, which is the snow map we just created inside Gaia. And this is also an alpha. And we import this into our current session. And now we can put this inside the mask. And the good thing about this, we can also just right click on the mask and get levels again. And let's just get it back. So maybe just a little bit, maybe like so, and then we can increase this. All right. And if you want to see what's going on, because it's just plain white, let's just get red so we can see what's going on. And we can see, yes, we need to fix the mask. So we can just right click or click on this mask. And if you can't invert it here, you can just click here. On the masks, here on the mask itself, and then just invert. Boom. And then what we are trying to go for is we are aiming for red only on those spots here. So I might need to invert the mask again, because I'm a little confused now. No, it is right. We need to invert this. Sorry. This is pretty weird, to be honest. Let's invert without the levels. Yeah, the mask is pretty weird. Let's leave out the snow. Yeah, this is a little confusing. Let's not get the snow map. This is a little confusing. The map is not really working like I expected it to be. So what we do, let's just duplicate this rock. Just this layer, just duplicate this, and we call this one snow. And let's delete the textures. Let's just give it a red color for now. And let's invert, let's delete this, and this is our mask. And let's just invert the rocks mask. Now let's play with the levels. And this is working much better, to be honest. So we can do something like this. And then we get another texture. Let's import. So this is an easy way, to be honest. I mean, you have the rock material, which is just like getting all the information on those creases and rocks, and then you can also just invert this. It's always working quite fine. Let's just get the legacy. So a mountain, I have legacy, and I have snow. I have a snow texture. So we get the snow normal, roughness, and base color. And we import this all, shift click all, as texture into the current session. And then we get the snow into the base. We get the this one into rough. Is it roughness? Yeah, roughness, and we get this one into normal. So now this we don't need metal. Sorry. Normal. So now this is going to look a little weird, maybe. It's fine, but we can just change the scale. So this is just one repetition. You can see this is, but I think 12 maybe. 12 should be fine. Okay, so we can check this without normal. And with normal we have some small bumps. Now let's get the levels again, and let's try to go for something nice. So we should increase this. This is making it a little more soft, and this gives us a little more contrast, which I don't really like. So we should go for something like that. All right. And we can go back to the rock and also do a little more work until you think the shape between snow and rock is fine. So it's up to you. I don't want to go too crazy with this. I think this is fine. And then we can also get this blur, just copy this, Control C, and just effect paste. And you can increase this to maybe something like 1 even. Look how soft that is. Let's do 0.5. Yeah, this is perfect. We still have some bumps, but the edges around those rocks, it's nicely smooth. And I mean, this is basically it. You can just go and get like another rock material, and we can blend this with like bake. So let's just try that just for the sake of it. But and also let's play with the lighting. But I think this is already pretty fine. And regarding the color, you can also click on this material itself, and then also get a levels. And now you can change the base color basically, just something lighter or something darker. So let's go. For something like this. But you can also change the, you cannot change the color here, of course, because we're using a texture. This is the reason why we use the levels for the base color. And also you can go to roughness, and you can make this more reflective or less reflective. So click on the roughness channel, and this is white, and it should be, but you can make it more reflective, like so. So if it's darker, it's more reflective, or you can just leave it like so. And even less reflective if you change this position here. So this is even softer now. And then let's get another layer. Let's get something red, just to see what is going on. And we get a black mask, and we baked. So let's try and get a generator. And we can go for a metal edge. And then let's just increase the metal wear level, the edge wear level. And this is basically where you can, if you want to, get some, let's do no grunge. Only the curvature basically. And what you can do now basically on top of those things, you can maybe just change the color to something, I don't know, something darker, or maybe something more bright. So this is something this is about taste. Just try different things. I like that. So why don't we just go for this? So this is something we can detail. We can just call this one curvature, right? Curvature. And then we do another layer, and we call this one AO. Let's try to go AO. No, not another layer, sorry. AO, black mask. And inside there, generator. And let's try the ambient occlusion information. And let's set this one to multiply. And let's do, yeah, now you can see the ambient occlusion in effect. You can also invert. But it's not going to do anything. It's just inverting the this switch here, not switch, but this. Yeah, you know what I mean. This stuff. So let me increase the contrast. So we can basically now get this everything in between. This is ambient occlusion, and we can give this another color. So we can actually get this more bright, which makes sense. And when we duplicate this, let's duplicate this layer. We can also just, let's get a red color so we can see what's going on. And we do invert this. Now we have that. Let's decrease the contrast. And now you have the ambient occlusion between the rocks. Between. And then you can just get maybe a black color. Or maybe something even darker. Like so. If you want to have an ambient occlusion effect on those rocks. And we also use the ambient occlusion here. Let's go roughness. You can even make this a little wet if you want. Just a little bit, like so. Yeah, it should be reflective, of course. So let's see the roughness value. Yeah, it should be reflective. So let's do something like that. Now you can see how thick this is going to look. And yeah, just make it completely white. People say, "Oh, never do something completely white." In this case, it's cool because we can also adjust this in Unreal Engine. This is no biggie. But now you can see like this shininess. I really want to have this. It's pretty awesome. And for the ambient occlusion, I mean, let's do normal. Because multiply is sometimes it's just too strong, and then you can change the balance to something like this, maybe, and increase the contrast. Just something like that. Now you have this nice ambient occlusion effect between those rocks. I mean, you can even go really crazy here. It's just faking more light, shadows. So, pretty awesome. Let's go for something like this. And let's try get another color. Less color is always better, and just a little darker. Yeah, I mean, this is nice. So now let's see everything again. This is just AO rocks, and this is snow enhanced. I just call this snow enhanced. So this is the base rock material, just on top. Then we have snow, so this is more bright. We have the curvature, so this is all the top edges. This is a baked mesh texture, right? So a baked mesh map. And then we have also the ambient occlusion here for the snow to get this extra layer. And we have the ambient occlusion between the rocks. And this is basically it. I mean, I think this looks pretty neat. Of course, we can do more, but I think this is it for now. And then we can just export those textures. So the textures you need is, let me just show you. So the textures you need are color, roughness, and normal. Boom, this is it. We already have the mesh. You go to global and we put this into the resources. So if you don't have Substance Painter or if you're too lazy to do this, I will also give you the textures here. The folder textures, this is where you can get the finished mountain textures. And put it here. Let me save the settings because I don't want to have this autosave. Export those textures into the folder, 4K. Make sure it's 4K, PNG is fine. And export. All right. And also you get the Gaia file, and I will just save this as the substance. You can also save this. So you can always go back into Gaia, change the mountain shape, and then just make this into Blender. So you put this into Blender, displace it, like I did show you before, here in this lecture. And then you just put this into this project. You can just go here and re-import mesh. After this, you need to rebake. All right, you need to rebake your mesh. And then it's already applied. It's already applied. You don't need to change anything. It's just the same texture, but everything will just automatically be perfect for your mountain. So you can create 50 different mountains without doing anything, basically. So I will just save this. Did I save this? No. Here. Mountain. And I give you this substance file, substance save. I will just call this mountain. So you know this is the substance file and save. So you have the Gaia file, you have the substance file, just in case if you have Gaia and if you have Substance Painter, you can just go crazy. And this is basically it. So now we want to export this beautiful thing, import this into Unreal Engine. And yeah, we will do that.